Today I'm going to be reading some Dylan the Hacker fanfiction, so it should be interesting. Okay, so this one's called Breakfast by Ellie Crittall. You were in bed with your boyfriend, Dylan Henderson. He was the love of your life. He saved you from being cyberbullied by the Hitler of YouTube, Leafy is here, with his incredible hacking skills. Good morning, my love, Dylan whispered in your ear erotically. Are you up for some cereal? I don't know, Dylan. I'm so tired. That's okay. You can go back to sleep. Dylan left the room and shut the door softly behind him. You dozed back off. Wake up, Dylan mumbled. You woke up with your legs in the air and spread apart, tied to the ceiling. Dylan, what's this? It's time for breakfast. He poured a liter of milk into your ass and then added cereal. He started eating the cereal with a fork. This tastes wonderful, he exclaimed, chowing down on the chocolate pops. Before long, the milk turned brown from the chocolate, he hoped, and he slurped it all up. He pulls down his pants and slammed into your delicate core. You moaned in pleasure. Oh, Dylan. Call me by my proper title, he groaned, slapping your ass. Oh, Daddy. That's right, he replied with his harsh masculine voice. You both came, and it felt like bliss. He untied you and leaned over your body. It's time for breakfast now. You opened your mouth and Dylan vomited the cereal down your throat. You forced yourself to swallow, tears in your eyes. Delicious. You smiled. You kissed him passionately and lived happily ever after. Okay, so that was the first story. Okay, so this is Jess, Dylan, A Tale of Twitter Love by Waterman1234. Chapter 1. The Love Begins. Dylan was on Twitter, and as he was scrolling across the countless tweets about Cump, he found a beautiful, stunning 10 out of 10 best-looking person on Twitter. So after he tapped on Brittany Venti, he scrolled through the people she followed and came across this person named Jess. He needed to meet her. And do you, Jess, take Dylan the Hacker and all his hacker ways to be your hubby, asked Nick. Why not, Jess replied. So they kissed, and Dylan checks Twitter to see that Jess has followed him back. Dylan is crying with happiness. Thank you, said Dylan. Okay, Jess replied. And as the sun set, everyone went back home, and our story ends with Dylan and Jess living as waifu and hubby. The end. That's it? There's no sex? What kind of fanfic doesn't have sex? I had Amanda part 2. Okay, so I decided to check back, and apparently that breakfast story where I eat cereal out of someone's ass has more parts. So I'm going to continue reading it. Revenge. Daddy Dylan, are you okay? You asked, knocking on the door to his hacking room. You got no answer. Dylan told you not to go in there a while ago, but you felt an overwhelming urge to go inside today. You opened the door. He wasn't in there, thank God. You looked around in awe. Suddenly you heard footsteps. You jumped into his closet and closed the door behind you. Where are you? Dylan called. He walked into the hacking room. Suddenly you felt breathing on your neck. You screamed. The closet door opened and Dylan looked at you in confusion. What are you doing in here? He asked. His voice sounded dry. Nothing, Dylan. He left the closet. I felt something breathe on me in there. You pointed to the closet. Dylan walked deeper into it and backed up after seeing what it was. How's it going, bros? Dylan. How's it going, bros? PewDiePie yelled. What the hell are you doing in there? I mean, you're still your partner. Remember when you took Marcia from me? She still won't take me back. PewDiePie gulped. She said my dick wasn't big enough for her anymore. A single tear dropped down his cheek. Now I'm going to do the same to you. Oh, no, you're not. If you do, I'll hack your channel. I'll hack your whole family. I'll hack all of Sweden. And I'll leave, Dylan yelled. PewDiePie jumped out of the window. Now we've dealt with him. It's your turn. He looked at me with fierce eyes. Go to our room. Next part. Punishment. Dylan once again tied you up to the bed. He had a bag next to him on the floor. You eyed it nervously. He stripped you completely. He pulled out a pin and put 2 dots on your right nipple. What are you doing, Dylan? You asked. We're gonna match. He pulled out a weird-looking pair of scissors. He pressed down hard. It hurt so badly, but you wanted to impress your daddy, Dylan. You started screaming once he drew blood. He pulled the tool away and started sucking your nipple hard. You could almost feel a vacuum he was sucking so hard. Oh, Daddy! He pulled away and pulled something else out of his bag. This. He revealed half a lemon. Your eyes opened wide in fear. but you had to please Daddy Dylan. He pressed the lemon against your nipple. The sour juices entered your small wound, and you cried out in pain. Shh. If you're good, Daddy Dylan will give you $1 billion, he whispered erotically. You stopped yourself from making a noise. He took the lemon away and squeezed the sour and bloody juices into his mouth. He threw the lemon behind him and untied you. You then proceeded to make sweet love to each other. To be continued. Dylan the Hacker Gay Smut by Corinne God. Chapter 1. Dylan has been waiting for this moment his entire life. He always wanted to visit England. He thought it'd be magical and full of surprises, and it sure was. Dylan hopped onto the flight, grabbed his suitcase full of goodies, you name it. Dylan falls asleep during the flight, so he's able to spend the whole day in England, hoping he isn't jet-lagged. That surely won't work. Dylan finally arrives at his destination, walks out of the plane, picks up his luggage, walks out of immigration, finally is able to smell the fresh air. Yet to find out, Felix has been waiting for him all day. Dylan had never told Felix that he was coming, but Felix had hacked his way into Dylan's computer and found out that he had bought flight tickets to England. Dylan was surprised, yet so happy inside he got to meet Felix for the first time. Felix later runs to Dylan and gives him the biggest hug. Dylan was confused and went along with it anyway. A few moments passed, and Felix invites Dylan over to his house. Dylan refused, but later went anyways. Felix had prepared beautiful meals for Dylan, and he was yet grateful but frightened. Dylan asked, "How did you know I was coming?" Felix replies, "Don't ask such questions. You wouldn't want me to shut you up, would you?" Dylan has a strange look on his face, but decides to ignore all the weirdness. He starts to feel sleepy and asks Felix if he's able to take a nap. Felix suggests he takes his room, since his bed would be more comfortable, and he does. Dylan wakes up to find himself naked, thinking, "Where are my clothes?" Panicking, he grabs a towel from the closet, goes outside yet to see Felix drying them up. Dylan asks, "Why on earth would you take my clothes off?" Felix replies, "Oh, hush, baby. Don't worry too much. Daddy's here for you." Chapter 2. Dylan is confused yet loving the kink. He doesn't know whether to go along with it or leave the house immediately. He decides to anyway. He thought to himself, who could turn away from all that sexiness? Even I can't. Dylan says to Felix, "Well, Daddy, if you really want me, show me what you got." Felix has a sexy smile on his face and says, "I'm the one in charge here. You don't say a word, or else." Dylan replies, "Or else what, Daddy?" Felix says, "Shush, haven't I told you enough?" Dylan likes the yelling, and he's happy he's able to make his daddy angry. Dylan drops his towel. Felix is surprised. He never thought Dylan was this big of a hacker. Dylan goes, "What's wrong, Daddy?" Felix replies, "Nothing, babe. It's just, you've never been able to disappoint me." Dylan says, "Of course I haven't. Why would I ever want to disappoint my daddy?" Silence goes on. Felix walks Dylan to his room. Not just any room, his bedroom. Dylan says, "Daddy, your room is small. Why is that?" Felix replies, "So I'm closer to you, babe. Wouldn't want you to feel small in a big room. Instead, you feel big in a small room." Dylan says, "I love you, Daddy." Felix is stunned. He never thought Dylan would say the L word. He goes to his balcony and yells, "Daddy isn't Daddy anymore." Dylan goes outside and asks, "What's wrong?" Felix says, "You don't belong here, Dylan the Hacker. Go somewhere else. You don't belong here." "But Dad, shh." Not another word. Leave. Dylan walks back to the airport naked. The police see him and later arrest him for disturbing the public with his hacking method being naked. Dylan gets deported back to America where Trump is now their leader and their god. Dylan heads home and goes on his computer. He says to himself, "Let the hacking begin." Okay, so this one's called Piercing My Heart by Sasu Forever Hanu. Okay, I definitely messed that up. Chapter 1. Pierce nipples, pierce hearts. It was a calm day. The birds were singing, the sun was shining, and all was well, until the world was rattled by a truly horrifying, blood-curdling scream. Oh! Dylan Prescott Henderson, also known as Dylan the Hacker, or affectionately Big Daddy Dylan, cried out in pain as the sharp needle bust through his firm nipple. His bud began throbbing and stinging, and he in turn began breathing heavily, as the pain began to overwhelm him. Why did I agree to do this? Dylan thought to himself. But wait, what was that feeling? Was the pain turning to pleasure? Suddenly a husky voice murmured, "Hey there, big boy," seemingly in Dylan's ear. Wildly looking around the room, Dylan saw nothing. "Down here, baby." The voice called out once more, causing Dylan to glance down in alarm. There. He saw his new 100,000 subscribers nipple piercing, but it had a face, and it was talking to him. Dylan was understandably freaked the fuck out, but the more he stared at the perturbing piercing, he realized it was kind of cute. "Like what you see, Daddy?" The voice broke Dylan out of his slightly aroused and slightly concerned trance. He quickly wiped the drool from his chin before replying, "You bet I do. I've been looking for someone like you all my life." The piercing winked seductively at him before whispering, "Well, you have me now, baby. What are you gonna do with me?" Dylan locked his lips with it in a passionate make-out session with his own nipple. 5 minutes later, Miss Prescott Henderson walked into the room to see if Dylan was alright, only to find him aggressively sucking his nipple while whispering phrases like, "Yeah, you like that? I'm gonna suck you dry." Miss Prescott Henderson sighed, turned around and left the room, muttering, "Well, at least he's not a furry," leaving Dylan and the piercing to develop their new romance. The end. That's actually a true story. That Smile by What's It To Ya 621101. Background. You had always been into nerdy boys, as people would call your type. The ones who were genuine, could make you laugh, and had that innocent, adorable look. Your friends would tease you about it, saying, "Ugh, why do you have you like all the ugly ones?" Or, "What is it you see in him?" They'd think you were lowering your standards since it wasn't common that you'd catch a date. But no, it wasn't so much that you liked guys like that, but just awesome guys. Although meshing and connecting with this kind of guy seemed easy, you didn't talk to any until him. After a long week at school and stress from testing, you decided to go to the park. Keeping to yourself, you thought, "I should have stayed home. I have no one to talk to here," and your thoughts are disrupted by your phone vibrating. And then you remembered Pokemon Go, and there must be one nearby. So you jumped up and began looking around. It was an Ekans, and you're right about to catch it. But with your luck, you crashed right into someone. "Oh, my bad," they said, picking up your phone and handing it over. "Ugh, I guess I'm going home," you thought while frowning. Then you looked up and saw his face, and your breath was literally taken away. His face was so handsome. His eyes, blue like Superman's shirt he was wearing. His perfect glasses mounted on that cute nose. His hair, how it flips and folds, undeniably straight pearly whites, and not to mention those lips, those bigger than Kylie Jenner existence lips. "Hi, I'm Dylan," he said, smirking. Immediately you thought, "Gosh, I want him to fuck my brains out." But hey, you don't want to jump the gun here. You snapped out of your trance and said, "Hi, I'm blank." Dylan said, "You want to sit down?" "Yeah, sure," he said in a flustered voice. Dylan, "Sorry again for bumping into you. I was also trying to catch that Ekans." Reader, no problem. Dylan continued to talk about Pokemon and which ones he's caught, but you couldn't help but stare into his eyes. He began to ask you about your school, and you came to find out you both attend the same one. He said he didn't really talk to many people at school and just liked being alone a lot of the time. And even though he was like that, he'd make sure to talk to you on Monday. Hopeful, you thought you'd finally be able to get a boyfriend and keep him. About 2 weeks have gone by, and you and Dylan have talked a lot. You exchanged numbers and often texted each other a lot after school. He really made you happy, and you felt like it was time to take it to the next level. You tried to muster up enough confidence to ask Dylan to come over. How should I do this? You thought. Message sent. "Oh, hey, I'll be right there," Dylan responded. Soon you heard a doorbell ring, and you ran to answer it. It was Dylan, looking extra daddyish with a new haircut. "You think it's alright? The barber might have cut too much off," he said. "No, it looks just great," you exclaimed. Reader, you can come in and sit. Dylan, "Okay, so what did you want to talk about?" Reader, "So we have been talking for a while now, and I just have got a crush on you." Dylan, "Really? I've actually felt the same way. You just have the nicest personality, and you're so cute. Wow, for once you are speechless. You can't believe the boy you likes you back. You have an idea." Reader, "Why don't you come to my room? I'll show you around." Dylan said, "Okay, but don't try anything," while smirking. You guys got to your room and you shut the door behind yourselves. You kind of pushed Dylan onto your bed and began kissing him. Immediately you stopped saying, "I don't know what came over me, sorry." But Dylan was into it and pulled you in for another makeout. As the kissing continued, you took his jacket off and helped him get his shirt off. He started fondling your boobs and got you to take your top off too. You began to feel his dick getting hard as your hand laid on his leg. He took off his pants and sat in his boxers. You took off your bra and his cock got really hard. Your boobs feel so good, he said as you slid his boxers off. Oh my gosh, it's huge, you exclaimed. You really couldn't believe it was so large. He pushed it into your mouth and slowly thrusted, making sure you were okay. Dylan moaned softly in a deep voice. Ugh, that feels so good. I'm sorry. After you had finished mouth massaging his member, Dylan said to get up. He positioned you on the bed as he wanted and stuck it in. As he did it, he practically bellowed moans. You're so tight, he said. You began moving faster, and he was thrusting harder, making both of you scream in pleasure. Dylan yelled, I'm about to come! You quickly pulled his penis out and started sucking it again. You marveled at his face as he came. At first he looked like he was in pain, but it quickly turned to pleasure. He yelled, fuck! He was sweating, and you were too, both gasping for air, and you locked lips one last time and helped each other clean up. So what did you think of that? You asked seductively. Honestly, I wanted to fuck you forever. I did too, you said. I guess you're not as innocent as I thought you were. Let me prove to you I'm not, Dylan said, and you guys went in for round 2. There's definitely going to be a disclaimer on this video, so... Thank you all for sending your fucked up stories for me to read. I enjoyed getting emotionally scarred forever. Please send in more fanfics. I'll probably do another one of these videos soon. Just tweet it at Dylan the Hacker. Thank you, and have a hackerific day.